This segment is brought to you by Rouse's Markets. Feels like home.
Hey everybody, welcome back into Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here. Time to check in with the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Department, and for that, we do that with Captain Brendan Mathern. Captain, thanks so much for joining us. And a couple of serious offenses with one attempted murder and a child rape. So take us through the murder first, please. Or attempted.
Sure. Thanks for having us, Harry. Well, first, the attempted murder stems back from a May 11th shooting. So Mother's Day shooting where we arrested a 34-year-old Brian Corsice of Chack Bay. And essentially how it went is there was a call that deputies respond to on the evening, Mother's Day evening. At least 4 rounds were found near a residence. We couldn't locate any suspects at the time. However, we did find some shell casings. And as detectives took over the investigation, they developed Corsice, who you see here, as a suspect in the shooting. As part of the investigation, they actually obtained a search warrant for his residence before they obtained the arrest warrant for the shooting itself. And when they executed the search warrant, they found over 150 grams of suspected marijuana, 3 firearms, including one that was reported stolen, and other drugs as well. So inevitably, he was arrested at that time. The detectives continued their investigation into the shooting and they found additional evidence that he actually shot at the residence with intention of striking a woman inside. So they then obtained a warrant for his arrest. So in all, Brian Corsice charged with attempted second-degree murder in possession of a firearm by a convicted felon in the shooting, also charged with intention to distribute marijuana, possession of oxycodone, illegal carrying of a weapon in the presence of a controlled dangerous substance, illegal possession of a stolen firearm, and 3 counts of possession of firearm by a convicted felon. And he remains at our correctional complex, bail set at $290,000. And Harry, he's also being held for probation and parole.
Wow. Very good police work on a case that was a couple of weeks, almost a month old. So good police work to get that arrest. And of course, everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. The next one happened to do a tough case here, but a child rape here, first degree.
Yeah, again, another one that was initially we made contact with Keith Schicksnyder, a 54-year-old of Thibodeau, on May 24th. We found that he had an active contempt warrant and he was arrested. He was also found to have a methamphetamine and drug paraphernalia on him. He was actually initially transported for hospital for treatment for unrelated medical illnesses, and then ultimately released and booked into the correctional complex. But while all that was happening, juvenile detectives learned of a teenage girl who was reportedly sexually assaulted by Schicksnyder over the course of several years. The incidents began occurring when the victim was under the age of 10 years old. So juvenile detectives concluded their investigation, obtained an arrest warrant for him. He was charged with first-degree rape in addition to the drug charges from his earlier arrests, and his bail is set at $511,500.
Yeah, and that goes back to something we've been talking about earlier. I know we had talked about it in Terrebonne Parish as well. There's no statute of limitations for these type of incidents, even though the girl is now a teenager. Obviously, if the events happened much earlier, that's something, there's no statute of limitations, right?
Right. And the key here for this sort of thing is, again, we're publicizing this arrest because if this happened to one person, there's always the concern from a juvenile detective standpoint that this could have happened to other victims. So we always want to publicize arrests like this, as hard as they are to read and as hard as they are for us to release. It's in our best interest, in the public's interest, to release this so that we can make sure that there's no other victims. And in this case, a victim came forward following his first arrest to be able to put this case together.
Yeah, and that's exactly the case that had happened in Terrebonne Parish like a week ago, and it was the same type of thing. Once the investigation got out, this was somebody that had already served time, but this was another victim that came forward with it as well. So always important to follow up on those cases. And like I say, nobody likes to talk about those things, but in the child welfare. It's a lot of things you don't think about a lot of times, and it'll come back to you later. And obviously, there's usually more than one victim in these cases too. So another good example of good police work there. The final was a arrest of 3 in the area for narcotics.
Yeah, so again, anytime that our narcotics agents start an investigation, more likely than not, at some point along the way, they're going to be making more arrests. And in this particular case, they opened an investigation into 36-year-old Derek Constant of Chack Bay. And as they started the investigation, they ultimately obtained a search warrant for his residence. And then on June 19th, they went to the residence and, of course, ran into Constant, as well as these other 2 men, Eric Rodrigue and Lance Grove, both of Thibodeau. They were all found to have narcotics in their possession at the time of the search. So all of them ended up being charged. In fact, all 3 were charged with possession of meth, heroin, clonazepam, which is just the generic name for Klonopin, and drug paraphernalia. Constant, who you see here, was also booked on the warrant, an existing warrant from narcotics agents for distribution of methamphetamine, and he also had Suboxone in his possession. Rodrigue was booked on a warrant for contempt of court, and Gros is also being held for Louisiana probation and parole due to a probation violation.
All right. Well, Brendan Mathern, thank you so much for the update from Lafourche Parish. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Harry.
All right. We'll be right back with more Bayou Time right after this.
This segment was brought to you by Rouse's Markets. Feels like home.